the Stand Up with Pete Dominic podcast. Pete, great to have you. I think I just kind of laid it out in terms of all the competing dynamics that are going to be happening at that dinner tomorrow night. Trump obviously has been attacking the media, suing them constantly. The Atlantic summing it up this way. In just the past 15 months, he has sued news organizations, threatened to jail journalists, repeatedly suggested taking broadcast licenses away from TV networks that have reported stories he didn't like, and so on and so on. And so what might tomorrow night be like?
Well, unfortunately, it won't be anywhere positive for democracy or a real celebration of the First Amendment because, Jessica, they didn't invite a comedian. And the reason why they didn't invite a comedian is because they knew our thin-skinned, insecure, immature, sad, mean, terrible president wouldn't come. And why shouldn't they? I mean, comedians are there to speak truth to power. I was at that dinner 5 years in a row, and I also worked for Stephen Colbert at the Colbert Report. And every night, at every taping of the Colbert Report, there was always an audience member who remembered his performance at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, I believe in 2006, when he questioned George W. Bush while he was right by his side, and his failure to find weapons of mass destruction. It put Colbert on the map, cemented his legacy because he spoke truth to power in a way, right to the president at the time, that too many journalists weren't doing. And the same is the case for now. By the way, this president wants to jail journalists and who are reporting on the Iran war. You know, he wants them to be brought up on charges of treason, which is a punishment by death. You have to have a comedian at this dinner, and they don't. They have a mentalist. What in the Sam Hill is a mentalist? I mean, he's going to make people believe that you can read minds and that he's a psychic. Americans already, too many, believe that the moon is made of cheese. So it's bad. It's bad for America. It's bad for democracy.
And look, you mentioned past dinners. Obviously, Trump has his history with this event. There is that moment, and I think it is a key moment, when then President Obama joked about him. He was in the audience. This was in 2011. I just want to play a quick clip.
In an episode of Celebrity Apprentice, at the steakhouse, the men's cooking team did not impress the judges from Omaha Steaks. You didn't blame Little John or Meatloaf. You fired Gary Busey. And these are the kind of decisions that would keep me up at night.
And later on, there was a lot of talk that that moment really affected President Trump and pushed him toward potentially running. But this, to your point, this dinner has the potential to create moments over the years like Stephen Colbert with George W. Bush, as you mentioned, like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an important element of this dinner to have a comedian there to speak truth to power, to make fun of the president to his face, and journalists and journalism as well. I don't know if that moment, I mean, I think that moment gets too much credit. He was already the chief birther before that,
right.
But he does and has committed to getting revenge on anybody who makes fun of him in any way. And there's so much material, and all of that material, including everything around the Epstein files and this war of choice, would be on center stage for any self-respecting comedian. For the White House Correspondents Association to not invite a comedian is to, it looks like, to appease the president. And there's already so much erosion in faith in journalism, especially corporate journalism. It doesn't do them any favors either. There should be a comedian there. The fact that there's not a comedian there is injustice. It looks like they're trying to kiss his butt and appease him the only way they could get him to go. And inviting a mentalist is so pathetic and so sad, a sad point in the history of, I think, the White House Correspondents Association and anybody who attends that dinner and journalism in general. It's really bad for America and bad for democracy, especially because he's tried to cancel comedians. He canceled Colbert, he tried to cancel Kimmel, and he couldn't. And that was a very important inflection point in the past year, that he couldn't get rid of Jimmy Kimmel, yet his FCC head who tried to do that, he'll be there. Brendan Carr will be there, but no comedian, Jessica. It's terrible.
All right, Pete Dominic, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.